Understanding seller financing and how it works. Number one, you must do marketing. The marketing can be free or paid. You're not going to find seller financing by hopping on your local MLS or by hiring a real estate agent. The odds of that is slim to none. Why? Because motivated sellers is what you're looking for, and they're off-market properties, as we say in real estate. Number two, once the leads start coming in from your marketing, you must have a filtering system to be able to identify non-motivated sellers from motivated sellers. This is very, very crucial. You can get my script below totally for free if you're interested. Now, the script needs to be able to identify if they're non-motivated versus if they're motivated or highly motivated. This is very crucial because if you want to buy a house with seller financing, owner financing, or if you just want to buy it at a deep discount, you must only deal with motivated sellers. Let me say that again, it's so crucial. The only way you can get a deal that's amazing is to only deal with motivated sellers. If you talk to anyone else, you will never do a deal and you think this business doesn't work. Okay? What is a motivated seller? They come in two types. Just to summarize it, we have what's called financial motivation, and I coin these terms. A financial motivated seller is someone that may lost their job, maybe is behind in their house payments, but they're financially stripped and they can't make their house payments anymore. Okay? And we have what's called emotional motivated sellers. Emotional motivated sellers usually they have the money, they're not in financial hardship, let me say that again, but emotionally, psychologically, they can't deal with the problem anymore. There might be a death in the family, there might be a divorce, something like that, okay? So there are two types of motivated sellers. So number one, we're going to do marketing. Number two, the lead's going to come in, then we have to filter them out to identify if they're motivated or not, and if they're emotionally or financially motivated. It's very, very crucial. Now, number three, all the leads that come in, doesn't matter if they're motivated, if they're not motivated, we're going to give them all a written offer. Let me say that one more time because so many of my students that are pros, they don't do this. Every lead that comes into your phone line, you must give them what I call an intent to buy letter that says, I want to buy your property, and that's just in writing. It says, I want to buy your house two ways. Number one, I want to buy it with cash, which demands at a deep discount. And I have the formula at the link below. If you're interested, you can download it totally for free. You send that to them. And in that same offer letter or intent to buy letter, you also include what's called a seller financing offer. I also have my formulas in the link below if you're interested. And you give them both. I want to buy your house with cash, and I want to buy your house with seller financing. Okay? Give to them. So we generate leads, we filter them when the leads come in with our script, and then we must give them a written offer in their inbox to them that says we want to buy your house with cash or seller financing. Now, number four is where the negotiation happens. Now, a lot of people think that number four is like number one, and they start negotiating at number one and number two, and this is where they never do deals, or they don't get really good deals, because the negotiation doesn't happen to you say, hey, you raise your hand and you say, look, I'm interested in buying your home. You wouldn't negotiate with something that you're not interested in. First, you got to do your due diligence. You got to probe the seller with the script to identify them, to see if they're motivated, what is their situation, why they want to sell, how much they owe on their house, if it's free and clear, what is the interest rate, all that stuff that's in my script. You can get it below, like I said. But after you do that, then you give them your offer, and now the negotiation starts. This is step number four. And many people get this step number four wrong. They start negotiating at step number one, and they wonder why it never works. Okay, once you tell them you want to buy their house for X or Y, X representing cash and Y representing seller financing, at that time you start negotiating with the seller. They're going to say, well, I want a little bit more here, I want this, and it becomes a little tug-of-war situation to where you create a win-win, which really means they don't win and you don't win. No one wins. That's what a win-win is, okay? And then expect 90 to 99% of this home sellers to say no. They don't want to do this deal. They don't want to sell it with X, and they don't want to sell it with Y, because with X they lose a lot of equity. With Y, they got to become your bank, and etc. It's just totally normal. That's why we have step number 5, which is called your follow-up system. Now, 90%, 89% of all the deals are going to come in this follow-up system, okay? And a lot of people will never get the deal because A, they don't give an offer in writing, and number 2, they have a horrible follow-up system. They may just reach out to them once, twice, 3, if they're lucky. Where I highly suggest you follow with these sellers 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, because the situation will change, which brings me to point number 6, okay? And point number 6 is that, so let's go back to this stuff. Number 1 is you do marketing. Number 2, you have to filter them to find out their motivation. Number 3, you have to give them a written offer. Number 4, you're going to start the negotiation. After you give them the written offer, they're going to call you up and say, well, but, blah, 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 blah. Okay, number 5, you got to put them into a follow-up system. And if you don't do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, and now number 6 is patience, because you have to wait for these deals to be baked. And I can't explain this, because 90 to 99% of people are going to say no, and you just have to be patient, just like an animal waiting for their food. You got to be patient and wait for the follow-up system to do its work. And when the seller becomes highly motivated, it's only a certain amount of time before that pain pressure, that threshold is met, and then they're going to say, look, I'm ready just to give this property away. I'm ready to just walk from this property, or I'm ready to try to do something to save my credit, because I can't keep bleeding and making these double payments or whatever, okay? Or the bank's going to foreclose. This is where step number 6 comes in, because you have to be patient for the thing to be baked from the oven, okay? And a lot of people lose hope at this stage because they don't have the number 5, which is follow-up. Once the follow-ups go through, you got to be patient, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then you're going to get the deal. Sometimes it may only takes 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sometimes it may take 1 month, 2 months. Sometimes it may even take 3 years. Depends on the seller and the seller situation. But I can tell you that you increase your odds of understanding the 6 steps that I just mentioned to you in details. Now, earlier I said that motivated sellers is the key of this business. If you fail to do step number 1, which is to generate leads, and then if you fail to do step number 2, which is to filter them, you're never going to have success, okay? If you start negotiating at step number 2, then you're never going to have success, because in the filtering system, we are asking all kinds of questions to probe the seller, to identify them, if they're emotionally motivated or they're financially motivated. When do we think that they're going to be baked? And all kinds of good questions. If there's liens on the property, blah, blah, if there's child support, etc. Okay? So it's very important to ask open-ended questions, to build rapport with the seller, has confidence in you, and you literally become their friend, okay? And when I say that I give them an offer, I called it my superhero offer, okay? So in that written offer, not only am I giving them a cash offer, but I'm also giving a seller financing offer, but over the phone, I'm also giving the seller my superhero closing, which is the offer. And that includes every option the seller has underneath the moons and the stars that I don't make any money out of. So in a sense, the superhero closing offer is me being a really stud and having confidence in my abilities, what I teach my students, to help out your brothers and your sisters, even if you don't make any money. So I'll come to the seller and say, look, Mrs. Seller, you may want to list your home with a real estate agent, okay? And here's like 2 or 3 that are good goers, right? And try that route. And then the seller may say, well, I already tried that. I say, okay. Then the other option is, Mr. Seller, in my superhero closing, is that you may want to try, renting your property. You can try to do Airbnb. You can try to do traditional renting and try to figure out help them figure out what the positive cash flow is. If there's going to be negative, help them explain that for them to realize that, hey, this option may work for them or it may not work for them, okay? Then I'll go down the list. Depends what the situation of the property is. If the property has negative equity, then we'll say, hey, you may want to consider doing a loan modification, or you may want to consider doing a short sell or something like that, okay? And basically we go down the list and give them all their options on the moon and the stars. And if you're interested, again, get my script. It's in there. Actually, that's in my mother course. But when you get my script, which is totally free, you can get my mother course for just I believe $100 or something. Not too big. Anyways, when I give them the offer, I'm giving them a verbal offer of the superhero closing, which is all their options. But in writing, I only give them two things: to buy it in cash and to buy it with seller financing. And the formula of my offer is below, totally for free. So if you thought this was valuable for you, thank you for clicking the like button. Thank you for subscribing. If you have any questions, comments, leave it below. If you'd like to get my script, my offer letter, they're totally for free. I'll even include a video training, a couple of video trainings on how it goes down, and a live call. Go to myrealestatedojo.com and download it for free. Thank you so much, and always remember, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and twice as beautiful as you ever imagined. Romy, peace.